Hey everybody, I'm back. It's been a while since I've been here, so I'm super excited. I have a new little series that I'm going to be working on. Actually, I've already been working on it, and this is just my short little intro to that. I've tried this introduction like 5 times, and I keep getting off subject, and I keep going into like different spiels on things. So I'm going to try to keep this short. That's really hard for me because apparently I just ramble and talk. So, what are we going to do? We are going to read a book together, and I'll just introduce the book first and then we'll go from there. So, Combating Cult Mind Control by Stephen Hassan. Such a good book. Anyways, this book is fantastic. The author himself, it has a degree in psychology, etc., etc. He's got the knowledge, and he's a professional. But here's what I really like about him. He himself was in a cult. Before his fancy degree, he was recruited at the age of 19, I believe, into the cult Moonies. And he talks about his story and how he eventually came out of that. So you'll find out. So how eventually he came out, and when he came out, he wanted to know, how did this happen? How did I fall into this group? And how can I prevent that from happening again? And then of course he wanted to help other people, and he became an advocate, and it's become his life. It's his life. It's what he does. So not only does he have the degree and the knowledge and the education behind his books, but he also has the firsthand experience being within a cult or cult-like organization. So there's a few things right off the bat I just want to say. If you're not comfortable using the word cult, don't use the word cult. Just say organization, system, business, whatever it is, church. If you have any sort of curiosity regarding these different systems and organizations, whether it's Jehovah's Witness, Scientology, Mormon, there's so many other ones out there. The Moonies, he goes in and talks about all these different ones. But it's not so much that he talks directly about it. He talks in a broad definition, because his purpose is to help everybody. His personal experience is about being in the group Moonies, and so he will relate a lot of things towards that. Now, what's cool is that as I'm listening and reading the book, I'm relating everything to my experience. My experience was that I was a Jehovah's Witness. I was born into the group, which means my mother had me. She was already a Jehovah's Witness, and I was raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and it wasn't until my early 30s that I finally left. I disassociated in December 2019. It was announced January 2020. And to be perfectly honest, when I left, I didn't think I was leaving a cult. I thought I was leaving a religious group who showed negative traits, and there was things I had issues with. I had specific issues in regards to their child sex abuse allegations, the way they handled situations, the way they handled my situation personally. I went to the brothers and the organization to get answers and wasn't provided anything. So I left because I was angry. I was angry at the situations at hand. I was angry at the brothers, the organizations, the higher ups that make all the rules and everything. And I was mad at God. And so I told my mom, actually, in a letter, I said, if I ever come back, it will be on my terms and because I have chosen to forgive God. I wasn't on a war path against the Jehovah's Witnesses. That was not my mindset. And it wasn't until about 6 months, 8 months later that I started, when I was away from the group, I was away from all of that influence, that I started doing my own research. I started looking at real stories from other people, and it broke my heart. It absolutely broke my heart because I had to come to terms, and eventually I myself used the word cult for the first time. I think it was the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021. It was somewhere right around there. It wasn't right away. I had a journey to get to that point. So I get it. If you're not comfortable using the word cult, don't use it. Just use this as knowledge, because knowledge is everything. And if you truly do believe you're in a group that is not a cult, then there shouldn't be any concern for you. You should be able to read and listen and prove to yourself through all of this that the organization you're in is not a cult, right? You should be able to prove it. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go through this book, Combating Cult Mind Control by Hassan. We'll take it like half a chapter at a time, and I'll pause it here and there, and where he's relating it to things in his life and experience he has with others, I'm going to relate it to my experience. And it's going to be the same experience a lot of you guys have. I want to know your experience too, though. So as you're listening, and I'm telling you how it relates to Jehovah's Witnesses, if you're in another organization or Jehovah's Witness, give me comments. Put comments down below. Tell me how it relates to you, because I really want this to be an interactive thing. Maybe one day I can get someone on here and we can do this as like a group situation. We'll figure it out. I don't know. This is new. So here's just a few bullet points. I put a link down in the description for a short video if you want to know who Hassan is and you want to get an idea for what he's all about. There's multitudes of interviews and videos and things like that on YouTube. You can also just read reviews about the books. But I did like this one particular video. It's kind of dry. Just saying. Sorry. But I liked it because it's specific towards a certain group, and I fall into that group. That's my dog. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's Hassan's talk on helping individuals born in high-demand groups and cults. So he himself was recruited when he was still a teenager, 19, I believe. I was born into it. A lot of you were born into it. So he actually talks about it's a different kind of situation. And in that video, I'm just going to bullet point a few things that he says. Organizations or cults, they tend to label what is a good feeling and what is a bad feeling. So they direct what you're feeling. If you have an emotion, they will direct that emotion towards what benefits them and where you should be in line with their organization. And how true that is. Stephen goes in to explain how emotions can be our friend. They're there for a reason. We have emotions for a purpose, and a lot of times it is actually there to warn us. And then we have these organizations or cults that are suppressing those emotions, and they're telling us, no, don't have that, or this is how you should react. Don't react this way, react this way. Us versus them. I did not even realize how clear of just clear blue sky Jehovah's Witnesses have an us versus them mentality. And he goes into explain this more and more. He talks about how these organizations, there's a perfect way to be a member, and you kind of have to set yourself on that path, and you want to stay on that path, and they keep you on that path. And to stop thinking that there's only one truth. Those were his exact words. Stop thinking there is one truth. And Jehovah's Witnesses actually use that phrase, the truth, to define their organization. They call it the truth. And even now, years out of the organization, I have to, excuse me, I have to stop myself from saying the truth. I don't believe it's the truth in any way whatsoever. I'm calling shenanigans on the whole thing, but I still have a tendency to say it, and it sucks. I hate it. So I'm having to teach myself and relearn, even if I know. So he talks about, stop thinking there's one truth, it'll drive you crazy, etc., etc. Learning to heal yourself. I love that he discusses looking towards the future. Our past plays a huge part of who we are. But if we do nothing but dwell on the negative and dwell on the past, then we're not healing and we're not progressing. So, yes, let's acknowledge the past and use it as a stepping stone to grow and to heal, etc., etc. He mentions we're programmed with phobias, and we're trained to constantly think that we're living in Satan's world. And he goes on to say it's total bogus, which is, it's so true. So whether you're religious or not, let's try to keep that aside. But these organizations, they all focus around the same things. And a lot of times they're focusing on the us versus them, the phobias. You're going to get in trouble, put yourself in this situation, then you'll have, bad association, and you're in Satan's world, and the influence from Satan's world is going to attack you. And how many times have we been warned by these cult leaders, by these organization leaders, to stay away from outside material, to stay away from outside influence, to stay away from any research outside of their publications, to stay away from any association outside of their organization. They want us inside their bubble all the time. It's a paranoia. It's a phobia. He goes in and explains about parents, and I don't know jack shit about being a parent because I'm not one, so I'm not even going to try to go there. But he's a parent, and he's a professional. So what's great is that, yes, I'll be doing these videos, but I won't try to compare any parenting thing. I'll let him speak towards that. And just learning what's normal and healthy. To be perfectly honest, I had no idea what was normal and healthy. I'm learning every day. Every day, something happens that I either just appreciate the fact that I know that this is normal and okay, or I'm learning something completely new. So it's nice having knowledge. I'm really starting to recognize that I grew up not having the knowledge, not having the education to prepare myself for certain situations, circumstances, and I really wasn't living my best life. I hope you guys enjoy this series coming up. If you have any suggestions, let me know. I'm super excited for it. I'll see you soon.